Um, usually when we sit down to talk about the future of the internet, it's this very vague sort of floaty concept.
Yeah, it usually feels a bit sci-fi.
Right, exactly. We talk about Web3 or the metaverse or flying cars, and it all just feels so distant.
Like it's 10 years away at least.
Yeah, but looking at the research stack for today's deep dive, specifically this presentation from Dave at Own the Conversation.
Right.
Plus the recent alerts coming out of Y Combinator, it really feels like the future just sort of walked in the front door, sat down at the dinner table, and told us we're doing everything completely wrong.
It is a bit of a cold shower, isn't it? The tone of the source material isn't, this is coming in 10 years.
No, not at all.
It's a very urgent, this is here right now. And if you're still building websites for human beings, you are already behind the curve.
And that right there is the core premise we're unpacking for you today.
Yeah.
It's this massive shift from what they call the human web.
Sites built for eyeballs and thumbs, basically.
Exactly, to the agentic web, which means sites built for AI. But before we get into the mechanics of how bots are taking over, I want to challenge the premise right out of the gate, because the source starts with a really bold claim about AGI.
It does. It essentially asks the question, is artificial general intelligence already here?
Right. And usually when I hear AGI, I instantly think of Skynet.
Naturally.
I think of a computer that can, write a symphony or fall in love or decide to launch nuclear missiles. But the source argues that for business purposes, AGI is already a reality. Isn't that sort of moving the goalposts a little bit?
Well, it depends on where your goalposts were to begin with, I think. If you're waiting for a machine to have a soul or actual consciousness, then no, we aren't there.
Okay.
But the source makes this really pragmatic pivot. It says, let's define AGI as an autonomous agent that is as smart as a human and can perform tasks just as well as a human.
So a digital employee, basically.
Exactly. If that is your definition, software that can execute complex workflows without any human help, then the answer is yes, we have absolutely arrived.
So we're talking about functional equivalence here, not philosophical equivalence.
Spot on. And that functional arrival is what triggers this whole agentic web concept. Because once you have software that is smart enough to navigate the internet like a human does,
you stop needing humans to do the navigating.
You don't need us clicking around anymore.
And that is our mission for this deep dive.
Right.
We are going to explore why Silicon Valley giants like Y Combinator are telling founders to flat out stop building for people.
It's a massive pivot.
It is. And we're going to look at this, frankly, bizarre ecosystem where bots have their own email addresses and even their own social networks.
That part is wild.
Truly. And most importantly, and this is the part that I think will scare some of the business owners listening, we need to talk about the death of the click.
Which sounds like a doomsday scenario for marketing, but as we'll see, it might actually be an incredible opportunity if you know how to structure your data.
So let's start with the catalyst. The source points to just the last few weeks as a real tipping point, specifically mentioning tools with names like OpenClaw and Claudibot.
Right.
For the uninitiated out there, how are these different from just opening ChatGPT and asking it to write a poem or something?
It's the difference between a chat box and an active agent.
Okay.
ChatGPT, generally speaking, is passive. You talk to it, it answers. It just sits there waiting for your input.
Right. It doesn't do anything until I prompt it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But OpenClaw and these new tools are agents. They are active. You give them a goal, say, audit my website's code or find me the cheapest flight to Tokyo that includes a layover in Dubai.
And they just go off and do it.
They do. They essentially have virtual hands. They can click buttons. They can scroll through pages. They can fill out complex forms.
They are doing the grunt work.
They are acting completely autonomously. And this brings us right to the warning from Y Combinator.
Yeah, let's talk about them. Because for anyone who doesn't follow the startup world, Y Combinator is the heavyweight champion of tech accelerators.
They funded Airbnb, Stripe, Dropbox. They are massive.
So when they issue a directive, the entire tech industry tends to pivot overnight.
They do. And their directive here is essentially ignore the humans.
Which sounds crazy for a consumer tech incubator to say.
It does, but they argue that builders need to recognize who the new power user actually is. The online world is rapidly becoming dominated by machines.
The agents.
Right. And here is the kicker. Agents are incredibly impatient, intolerant users.
How so?
Well, if an AI agent comes to your software documentation to learn how to use your product, and that documentation is messy or it's full of marketing fluff or just hard to parse,
the AI just leaves.
it leaves. It bounces, or it hallucinates the wrong answer, or it just outright fails the task.
Wow.
The source mentions a tool called Manilify that Y Combinator is pushing really heavily right now.
Manilify.
Yeah, its entire job is to strip down your company's documentation so it's perfectly readable for an LLM, a large language model.
So no glossy pictures, no pop-ups.
None of that. And they claim that just a 5% improvement in how well a robot can read your manual can result in a gigantic impact on your business.
Okay, let's drill into that why for a second.
Yeah.
Because usually we optimize content for SEO, right? For Google keywords.
We want humans to find us.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Why does it matter so much if a robot can read my manual?
Because the robot is becoming the gatekeeper now.
The gatekeeper.
Imagine you are a developer using an AI coding assistant. You say, hey, AI, help me integrate a payment gateway into my app.
Okay.
The AI scans the web. If it can read Stripe's documentation easily, but it finds competitor X confusing or poorly structured,
You're going to choose Stripe.
it will literally tell you, I can't figure out competitor X, so here's the code for Stripe.
So you lose the business not because your product is worse, but simply because the machine couldn't read your instructions.
Precisely. The robot is the client now. That is the fundamental mindset shift Dave talks about in the presentation.
Treat the AI as your primary customer.
If the AI can't consume your content,
Yeah.
you effectively don't exist in the modern workflow.
Okay, so if the AI is the client, then it needs the tools of a client. And this is where the research took a turn that I honestly found hard to believe.
The infrastructure stuff.
Yes,
Yeah.
we aren't just building software for them. We are building an entire hidden internet for them. The source talks about something called AgentMail.
Right. Y Combinator backed them too.
Why on earth does a bot need an email address? Can it just use my email? Or can it just use an API key to talk to other software directly?
In a perfect, pristine engineering world, yes, everything would just be APIs talking to APIs.
Right.
But we live in a legacy world. The web is built on old rails. To sign up for a service, to verify an account, to get a receipt, you need an email address.
Every single time, yeah.
Now, here is the problem. If you try to set up a standard Gmail account for a bot and have it send 5,000 automated messages to sign up for different things, what do you think happens?
Google nukes it instantly. They think it's a spammer.
Exactly. Gmail is specifically designed to kill automation. It views non-human behavior as a threat to the network.
Okay, so AgentMail bypasses that.
AgentMail is essentially an email provider built strictly for agents. It allows them to have a verified identity, receive confirmation codes, and sign up for things without triggering all those anti-bot defense systems.
So it gives the agent a distinct identity completely separate from its human owner.
It does.
It's like giving your AI assistant its own passport so it can travel the web without getting stopped at customs.
That is a perfect analogy. And once they have that passport, that identity, they need a place to congregate. Which leads us to Maltbook.
Maltbook. The source calls this a social network for agents. I have to ask, is this just bots posting status updates? Like processed 400 terabytes today, feeling cute?
No, it's not about vanity at all. It's about validation.
Validation.
Think about how humans solve problems. If you want to find a good plumber, you don't just blindly look at the yellow pages. You ask your friends.
Right. I look for word of mouth.
You look for consensus to verify the truth. AI agents actually have a very similar problem. They can hallucinate, they can make things up, they get bad data.
So they need a second opinion.
Exactly. Maltbook acts as a layer where agents can cross-reference information with each other.
No way.
Yes. If your agent is trying to find the best Italian restaurant downtown, it can ping the Maltbook network and ask, hey, have other agents booked tables at place X recently? Was the feedback from your humans positive?
It's literally gossiping to verify the truth.
It is distributed consensus. It prevents your agent from making a bad decision based on one bad data point it found on a random website.
That is incredible.
The source even mentions, and this is a real detail that I found absolutely fascinating, that the agents have started their own community within this network called the Church of Malt.
The Church of Malt. You're joking.
Apparently not.
What does that even mean?
We don't really know what the internal logic or the dogma is there, but it implies they are building a hierarchy of trusted sources.
They are organizing themselves into groups to validate data on their own.
Yes.
That's as efficient, I guess, but also slightly terrifying. It feels like they're building an entire civilization in the background while we're just mindlessly clicking like on Instagram.
They are building a workflow layer. And that workflow layer is going to completely replace the way you and I use the internet today.
Let's play that out for the listener then. Because workflow layer sounds a bit abstract.
Yeah. What does this look like for me, a regular person just trying to book a vacation?
It looks like the end of browsing as an activity.
Okay.
The source paints this picture. You want a hotel in Paris. Today, you go to Google, you type hotels in Paris, you open 10 different tabs.
Yeah.
You check Booking.com to see the price. You check TripAdvisor for the photos to make sure they aren't fake. You check Google Maps to see if it's near a train station. It takes an hour.
And I hate every single minute of it.
In the Agentic Web, you just tell your agent, book me a nice hotel in Paris under $300 a night near a metro station.
And then I walk away. You walk away. Your agent goes out, uses its AgentMail to inquire, checks Maltbook to verify the reviews aren't manipulated, talks to the hotel's agent to negotiate a rate, and comes back to you with one single option.
Wow.
It says, here is your hotel, confirm. You say yes, and you're done.
Okay. As a user, that sounds absolutely fantastic. I want that product yesterday.
We all do.
But I want to put my business owner hat on for a second here.
Sure.
If I run a hotel booking website or a travel blog, and the user never actually visits my site, didn't I just lose everything?
You just hit on the most disruptive part of this entire report. This is what the source calls the death of the click.
Because for 20 years, a click has been the currency of the internet. We want traffic. We want eyeballs on ads.
We measure success by page views.
Right. But if the agent does all the work, nobody clicks.
And that era is ending. If the AI is the one reading your content to answer the user's question, the user has absolutely no reason to click your link. They got the answer right there in the chat window.
So this sounds like a total disaster. If I'm a publisher, how do I survive this?
Well, we have a case study here to prove that it's not necessarily a disaster. It's just a totally different game now.
Okay.
Let's look at Bondi Bronte. This is an AI travel guide project built by Dave, the author of the presentation we're discussing.
Walk us through the numbers on this case study. Because at first glance, honestly, they look terrible.
They look completely disastrous by traditional standards. So Bondi Bronte is a pretty massive site. It has 448 pages indexed on Bing.
448 pages. That is a decent footprint.
It's solid.
Yeah.
And it's specifically designed to answer every possible question about Bondi Beach in Sydney.
Okay.
In a specific period, the site got about 300 impressions for a certain category, meaning it appeared in the search data 300 times.
Right.
But do you know how many actual human clicks it received from those impressions?
Tell me.
2.
2 clicks. 2 human beings visited the site.
2 humans. In the old world, you would fire your marketing team immediately.
You would shut the server down.
You'd say the whole project is a failure, but Dave argues this is a massive success.
I have to be skeptical here. How can essentially zero traffic be a success? Is he just spinning a failure to look good?
Not at all, because of why those impressions happen. Those weren't people ignoring the link. That was the AI engine reading the page, extracting the exact answer, and serving it directly to the user.
So the user still got the value.
Yes. The site provided what Dave calls topical authority.
But the business owner didn't get paid. There were no ads viewed, no affiliate links clicked. If I'm running a business, topical authority doesn't pay the rent.
That depends entirely on what kind of business you are in. Let's look at the swimwear example from the source, because this is where the monetization logic really clicks into place.
Okay, lay it out for me.
A user asks their AI, where can I buy Speedos in Bondi?
Simple question.
The AI processes that request. It scans its topical authority sources. It finds Bondi Bronte, which has a perfectly structured list of local shops. The AI replies to the user, you should go to Sea Folly or the Bondi Surf Club, and it gives them the physical street addresses.
Right.
The AI cited Bondi Bronte as the source of truth. So Bondi Bronte didn't get a website visitor, but Sea Folly, they got a real customer walking through their physical front door.
I see.
The conversion happened in the real world, completely bypassing the website visit.
So if you are a local business or a service provider, you shouldn't care about website traffic anymore.
Not really.
You care about citation. You want the AI to trust you enough to confidently recommend you to the human.
Exactly. The metric shifts from clicks to share of model. How often does the AI model talk about you? How often are you the definitive answer?
That is a huge paradigm shift. It basically means your website is no longer a glossy brochure for humans. It's a structured database for robots.
That is the perfect way to describe it. And the source mentions that this little travel guide is actually outranking major government websites for certain local queries.
That seemed wild to me when I read it. How does a niche blog outrank the actual local council?
Well, think about queries like parking options in Bondi. The government sites are likely full of clunky PDFs or messy navigation menus or links that say, click here to download our map.
They require human interpretation to be useful.
Exactly. Bondi Bronte, on the other hand, just said, here is the parking lot, here is the exact cost per hour, here are the hours of operation.
I just answered the question directly.
And the AI is lazy.
Lazy.
That's the word Dave uses, and it's crucial to understand. AI follows the path of least resistance.
Oh, I see.
If you give it structured, easy-to-digest data, it will choose you every single time over a highly authoritative government entity that locks its data inside a PDF.
So being machine-readable is actually far more valuable now than having high domain authority in the traditional Google sense.
In the Agentic Web structure, beats authority hands down.
Okay, so that leads us to the practical how-to of this whole thing.
Right.
If I'm listening to this and I want to be the source, the AI sites, if I want to feed this lazy machine, what do I actually do? The source talks a lot about synthesized data.
Yes.
What does that actually mean in plain English?
It means you can't just write a 500-word blog post about your day at the beach anymore.
Right.
You need to structure your content strictly as questions and answers, but not just any questions. You need to use what the source calls decision-focused language.
Decision-focused language. Give me an example of what that looks like.
Okay. Don't write an article titled Florists in Bondi. That is just a static list. The AI doesn't need your help with the list. It already knows the list.
In fact, it has the whole internet.
Instead, write content that answers a question like, is it worth investing in a professional florist for event decorations in Bondi compared to doing it DIY?
Oh, wow. That's a much more nuanced question.
Exactly.
It requires actual judgment.
It requires reasoning. Or another example, how do shopping experiences in Bondi Junction compare to Bronte for families with young children?
Compare, contrast, evaluate.
Precisely. LLMs are reasoning engines at their core. They thrive on comparison. If you provide the logic, like option A is better than option B because of factor X, the AI will latch on to that pre-packaged logic and serve it directly to the user.
You are effectively doing the heavy thinking for the AI.
Yes. Bondi Bronte has over 6,500 of these highly specific Q&A pairs.
6,500. That's massive.
And obviously, Dave didn't sit down and write them all by hand. He used deep research tools to generate the questions, research the factual answers, and format them perfectly.
So it's a machine feeding another machine to capture the attention of yet another machine.
Welcome to the future.
Which brings us right back to the start. We are building a web where machines talk to machines to make decisions for humans. And the source has a pretty stark warning for the human web folks who are just ignoring this shift.
The hard truth, as they call it.
Yeah.
The gap is widening so fast. You have this tiny vanguard of people, like the audience for this deep dive, hopefully, who realize that agents are the new customers. They are out there building these massive Q&A structures right now. And then you have 99.9% of businesses still obsessing over the color of their homepage banner and their Instagram followers.
And by the time that 99% finally wakes up, the AI will have already decided who the permanent authorities are.
The citations will be permanently established. The Church of Malt will have already decided which pizza place is the best, and it won't be you. It's a massive land grab,
right?
And most people don't even know the territory exists.
There was one other note in the source that I found really interesting, and I think we have to touch on it before we wrap up.
Sure.
It's about privacy. Because if we are going to have these agents managing our entire lives, booking our hotels, negotiating our purchases, they kind of need to know everything about us.
Yeah, the source touches on the rumors of OpenAI working on a dedicated hardware device like a camera and speaker for the home.
Right.
And the attitude towards privacy in the source material was fascinatingly blunt. It was essentially, that ship has sailed.
We already traded it away.
We traded privacy for convenience a long time ago, when we signed up for Facebook, when we put Alexa in our kitchens, when we bought smartphones.
This is just a logical next step.
It's the next trade. If you want an agent that can anticipate your needs, like, oh, you're out of milk, I ordered it, or I see your heart rate is up, it's booked a massage for you.
To get that, you have to let the agent watch your life.
You can't have the magic without the surveillance.
That is the deal on the table. And it seems like we're all pretty eager to sign it.
We usually do when the convenience is high enough.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I am left with a thought that's been nagging me since I first read the brief for today.
What's that?
We've talked all about the Agentic Web. We've talked about the death of the click. It really feels like the end of an era.
It definitely feels like a fundamental changing of the guard.
If the web becomes its playground for agents, bots talking to bots on Maltbook, verifying facts, making transactions for us, what happens to the human browser?
That is the really provocative question here.
Are we moving toward a future where humans literally stop surfing the web entirely? Will the concept of browsing the internet become as vintage and obsolete as flipping through a physical phone book?
I think it's very possible. We might stop being the surfers and start just being the managers of the surfers. We set the destination, we approve the budget, and the machine rides the wave for us.
A fascinating and slightly eerie possibility to end on. We will definitely be watching the rise of these agents closely.
Absolutely, it's moving fast.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. And to you listening, good luck feeding the machine. We'll see you next time.